Hello and welcome to another episode of Real Talk. I'm Joe Deerdorf.
I'm Curtis Crotty.
And we are brokers on the Crotty Group, servicing Chicagoland and the suburbs.
Let's get into it.
So
it's going to be it.
Today, Curtis and I want to give you a behind-the-scenes look at what goes in behind an offer when you submit it, and then, of course, all the magic that happens after it's submitted during negotiations.
Totally. And I think first let's frame out for those buyers out there who haven't done it before, what is an offer, what does it consist of, and what has to come along with it. From the standpoint of a first offer, the first offer always comes in the form of a buyer executed purchase contract. So we have a templated contract here in Chicago and here in Illinois that we will fill out, have the buyer sign. That gets sent as an initial offer. And then what comes with that will be a pre-approval letter from your lender if you're getting a mortgage, or if you're buying cash, a proof of funds, some sort of statement from your bank saying that you have cash on hand to complete the offer.
And what I like to share with clients too is, even though we're writing the contract, we're not attorneys. We're not actually writing a legal agreement. It's fill in the blank. It's a long document. You initial the paragraphs that apply to you. If they're not initialed, you just put NA and it's not included. And we take all of our buyers through the whole contract after we fill in all the blanks and review to show what's going in the offer and what is not included.
Yeah.
So what are some of those things that are included that they would initial when they're signing?
I think the biggest pieces of an offer, the biggest levers that we have to play with are, let's identify the property that we're looking at. Let's identify what's staying and what's not staying. But then you've got purchase price. That's a big, easy one. You've got the earnest money amount, how much money a buyer is going to put up front to tell the seller they're earnest about buying that house. What the closing date is, whether or not there's going to be a home inspection, and what your financing terms are. What kind of percentage down are you putting? What kind of loan to value will there be?
When we're filling in these blanks, essentially, there is certainly strategy to it, that I'm sure you would agree, Curtis, to make your offer strong. And there's some questions that we as agents can ask of the sellers and their agent in advance, so we know, okay, what can we put in here? What blanks can we fill in and paragraphs can we include to make this a winning offer?
Right. So asking if the sellers have a preferred closing date. That could be a huge piece of negotiation. If you're a buyer and you're flexible and you don't have a lease that ends for a while, or you're living at home with your parents for now and you can do whatever, it's better to put the seller preferred closing date. And if you're going to use that as a piece of your negotiating.
There are certain things a listing agent will tell you and certain things they won't tell you. For example, they're never going to disclose if they have a current offer in hand, what the price on that offer is. They may allude to it. They may say, oh, it's north of this number, or it's not quite at asking, but it's close, or it's strong.
It's actually illegal for them to tell you what the price is.
Correct. I have clients ask me all the time, well, what's the current offer they have? Unfortunately, that's held in very close confidence, but we always ask before we submit the offer, call up the listing agent. Do you have any offers in hand currently that we would be in competition with?
And on that, I think it's also important, we as real estate agents are always calling the listing agent when we submit an offer. The worst thing that can happen is if you submit an offer to an agent and it goes to their spam mailbox, they don't ever see it. You miss out on the property because you didn't call them to let them know, hey, I've submitted an offer. Let me talk you through the terms. Let me give you a little bit of background about who my buyers are. You're leaving a lot on the table if you're not calling on behalf of your client.
And that plays into some of the strategy too. Timing really is of the essence, and you can miss out on deals by several hours. So if it's a busy day, we had a lot of showings, I know I'm going to be writing an offer tonight on a house we saw this afternoon, I will give the listing agent a heads up and just say, hey, do you have any offers in hand? Thank you for letting us see the home. We are going to be putting together an offer. Please call me right away if anything else comes in. Otherwise, you're just, kind of going in blind, hoping that you are going to be the first and only offer, which many times we're still is not the case.
Yeah, I think especially if you're in the suburbs right now, it's multiple offers every day. But if you are the only offer on table, if you are the only one bidding on that currently, what happens after that first offer goes in? Is it like HGTV where $1 Million Listing people are sitting down at brunch, hashing out deals right away?
Typically, I can say I am in the middle of lunch when a listing agent calls and says, hey, I got your offer, we want to negotiate it. And that part is true. And I am constantly stepping away from lunch or dinner with friends because I see another agent is calling. Our friends just know that.
It's just the part of the game.
Yeah. That much is true, but there is no heavy-handed strong arming really going on. There's a little bit of back and forth sometimes. How many negotiations do you typically have with back and forth?
It depends on where they are. I would say that on average, we're probably going back and forth with the other side of the party 3, maybe 4 times. And that's not only on price, but that could be closing date included. So I would say you're looking at 3 or 4 back and forths. If it starts to get more than that, you're like, okay, are we even going to be able to come and put this together? It also depends on how far apart the parties started, I think, or how reasonable they are, but 3 to 4 on average.
And usually you're under contract within 24 hours. If it's exceeding that, chances are one side really has to concede in order to pull this deal together. And it's not uncommon for that not to happen.
Yeah. I think typically what I find with my first-time home buyers who are going through this first, they'll submit an offer and they'll want to hear back right away within another half an hour. And I think we have to realize that we've got to give the other side time to process the offer, time to think things over and respond. So we try and let offers sit for 24 hours, or we give a standard operating procedure of let's have a response from an offer within 24 hours.
And here's really the essence of the time. I will say this quick. The longer that you wait for the seller to respond to you gives more time for other offers to come in that they may like instead. So as a buyer's agent, I do keep up very closely with the seller's agent and say, listen, when can we expect to hear back? When can we get a commitment? The last thing we want is some other offers to slip in during our negotiations that boot us out. And that's really what we're looking to avoid.
Yeah. So again, after a few different negotiations back and forth that are a lot lackluster compared to $1 million listing, you could have a deal and you could not have a deal. So again, an offer consists of writing a purchase contract as the buyer, submit it, few back and forth here and there, nothing special. And that's really the offer process.
And that's how you get one step closer to closing
and owning a home.
This was Real Talk. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share with a friend, and follow us on YouTube.
We'll see you next time.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Real Talk. I'm Joe Deerdorf.
I can't. We have to redo it.
Oh. Hello and welcome to another episode of Real Talk. I'm Joe Deerdorf.
I'm Curtis Crotty.
And we are
Let
on
me
the
talk?
Karate Group.
We have to redo that.
I thought I was introducing you.
Okay, go ahead.
Now you can introduce yourself.